Well. Everything is froze up here. So if you can hear my voice, I'll be right with you. I might have to reboot here now. Well, what I'll do is I'm going to bring on Everett and Carol, and Jeffrey will be right back. You guys can hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're live right now, and for some reason, my program just froze up, and I'm going to have to reboot it here. So let me just see. Anyway, you guys can talk for a bit, and then I'll come right back here. So
Nice weather now for a ride, eh?
Yeah, it was a good day today.
Yeah.
It'll be a good weekend, actually.
Yeah. I might go off Saturday for a ride somewhere.
Yeah.
What you got planned for the weekend?
Not much, I don't think. Staying around for sure.
But
Might try to get a ride in.
yeah, well, if you happen to go, let us know. Doreen was saying day now, she'd like go for a ride Saturday. It's supposed to be a nice day.
Okay, yeah.
Your bike's squeaky now?
I haven't used her since, so I guess she's okay now.
Okay. Yeah.
He's going to reboot, is he?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Okay.
You're telling us that you got a leak in his truck.
Pardon?
You're telling it looks like you got a power steering leak in his truck.
Oh, okay. Jeffrey, can you hear us?
Can you hear us, Jeffrey?
Okay.
Yep, not a problem.
Alan had to go and reboot.
I see Patrick is down there. Well, I had Patrick on the screen. How you going, Patrick?
How are you tonight?
Good.
Good stuff.
You haven't met Carl, have you? Carl wasn't on Monday, I think.
No, I wouldn't on Monday night, no.
No, I've seen him on the show before, but I haven't met before.
Yes. Well, this is Patrick. Carl, you've heard me mention his name a few times.
Yeah, I have, yeah.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
So what happened to Elwin, you say?
He had to go and reboot.
Oh, very good.
Jolene is on too.
Oh, Jolene is. I thought she was on the screen. Then hang on. Now let me add her to the.
Oh, there she is.
Hang on. Now her mic is not on. Okay, any second now.
Well, I turned it off.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, very good. How's it going, guys?
Good.
Perfect.
Good. Wonderful.
Good, great.
Wonderful. So while we're waiting for Elwin, I guess we can do some introductions here. And for our listening audience, I know Jolene been on before, but we probably got some new people watching tonight. And so let's start with Jolene, and then we'll go to Patrick here, and just give us a little introduction of who you are and what you do and all that fun stuff. Jolene?
Sure thing. It's Corporal Jolene Garland with the RCMP here in Newfoundland and Labrador. I'm the Media Relations Officer for the province. Heavily engaged in ATV safety with the ATV Safety Campaign that we've been running since last fall in light of 17 fatalities that we had last year on off-road vehicles.
Hey, Elwin's back. It's good to have a co-host, eh?
Can't hear you, Elwin.
Oh, no sound. Okay, in the meantime, we'll go to Patrick here. Let's give us a little bit of introduction here, Patrick.
Well, hello. For those of you that don't know, I guess I live over in Nova Scotia. I'm not actually in Newfoundland, although I love going on vacation there whenever I can, especially on ATV. I guess I'm an ATV enthusiast, and I run a website called Crossing Newfoundland by ATV.com, and I have a video series on YouTube that people can watch. Basically, it's designed just to help people to be able to do that trip on their own. Anyone that's seen it or come across it has given me a lot of good feedback on it, and information that I've put in there over the years has helped a lot of people be able to do that trip.
Well, nice. Elvin, we're getting sound.
I don't know.
What?
What?
Yep. There you go.
As soon as I hit the live button, it crashed my program, and so I'm sitting in a hotel here, and the internet is a little wonky, I believe. So anyway, so what do you?
That I didn't cut off the connection.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, or else we would have been in big trouble.
Yeah.
For sure.
So welcome, Jolene and Patrick.
Thank you.
Yeah. So what we're going to do here, now I'm going a little later here, I'll show you what our up and coming shows are. But so, like I said, I'm on my way to, all our names are off too here for some reason, but I'm on my way to Holyrood, and Jolene, tell us about what's happening in Holyrood while I'm trying to sort some things out here.
Sure thing. Yes, tomorrow we will be having the official launch of the second phase of our ATV Safety Campaign. That will take place tomorrow at 11:30 in Holyrood. Wish we could extend the invite to everybody, but with COVID-19 pandemic, just logistics of how many people we can have is pretty limited. So we have major media coverage of that tomorrow in attendance, as well as yourselves from Ride the Rock with Elwin, who's in Clarenville, I understand, tonight, but on his way. And so you'll have coverage through Ride the Rock Adventures on, what our plans are heading into what we call phase 2 of the ATV Safety Campaign. If anybody followed us for the first phase, it really concentrated on some visual images with simple messages that kind of appeal to those that have been impacted by the loss of a loved one through an ATV death or fatality. Again, reiterating last year, we had 17 such fatalities in our province. That's an alarming number. So that really got us to take action with respect to a social media campaign about education, about the legislation, the enforcement, and also to increase an enhanced enforcement plan across the province to address aggressive driving behaviors, to address the lack of safety equipment, helmets, seatbelts, proper safety gear, and to address certainly impaired driving, which is still very much a presence within our ATV population. We do recognize, however, that the vast majority of people do abide by the laws, do follow the rules, do wear the gear, and do drive while sober. So, we commend people for that, and we want to highlight people doing what's right here in the province, because we know many people do indeed do that, and a few bad apples can kind of taint the bunch, so it seems sometimes. So we just hope that if we appeal to the public, use local images of people doing things right, maybe it'll hit home with people and slowly but surely, hopefully, drive change within their behaviors.
Yeah, so that's awesome. And this is phase 2, you said. So last year, this time, you had phase 1, was it?
It started, I believe it was November of last fall. We were a little late starting. It was in response to the high number of fatalities that we did have. We wanted to take action. So we have seen some, we've been tracking both enforcement and tracking fatalities for the same time period, this time the year before to where we presently sit, to, I guess, gauge some level of success. I know our social media campaign and things like this have, shows like this taking part have really promoted a lot of good conversations and engagement with the public, both in our social media messaging and our enforcement pieces. We see a lot of engagement now from the public when we put out a release on ATVs, that might have been seized for various infractions or an impaired driver and such. The public is really supportive of the action that we're taking in those cases.
Yeah, that's good. And I think, Jeffrey, there's 6,800 members of this Ride the Rock here right now.
Yeah, 6,804 at the moment. We hit 6,804 today, and just want to go on to what you're saying there, Jolene, about Ride the Rock Adventures. We are 100% behind you and the RCMP when it comes to safety and promoting safety on our platform. And we do see as well, most of the members and most of the people that we do see on the trails do participate in safe driving, and is very encouraging to see that happening. And it's very encouraging to see more of the public getting involved, and because I'm sure a lot of the incidents that has happened was, I venture to say, 100% preventable if the safe practices was carried out.
100%. You're not wrong in that. We're seeing the same factors each time. It's either helmet use not being abided by, or impaired driving, those sorts of things, aggressive driving. So we're trying to reach out to people to say, hey, this is happening. It could happen to you. Let's change that as best we can. We're not trying to take away from the enjoyment of ATV operation whatsoever. In fact, most of us also enjoy that, myself included. What we're trying to promote is to do it safely so that you can enjoy it. At the end of the day, you come home safely to your loved ones.
Yeah, and you can only go so far with it. I mean, you're limited in numbers. So, but for all the members that we have on this site here, I mean, we can help you guys not do the enforcement, but the education side of it. And everyone that's watching here tonight or watching the rerun of this, we all got to do our part in that. So, and
Yes.
like Jeffrey said, that's one thing that we're strong in promoting. Not only the tourism side of riding the trails and riding it safely, but to education and promoting this province that we have here, and the ability to be able to get out and enjoy this kind of stuff, so
In a safe way, yes. Yeah.
One thing I'd like to recognize as well is the great partnership that we've formed with you guys in Ride the Rock Adventures. It's fantastic. We appealed to the public just less than a month ago, I guess, looking for images of ATV enthusiasts riding their ATV, showing that they're driving within the rules, showing that they're being sober and sensible, and that sort of thing. And we've got an overwhelming response from the public, and I know that you guys helped us out on that end with respect to promoting what we were doing and asking people for submissions. So no doubt some of the direct submissions that we did receive came from your audience. So we're very appreciative of that. We've got some beautiful pictures of riders wearing the gear and beautiful scenery, and we really hope that people will gravitate to the messages. We've made it more personalized. It's local content, local pictures, and I think it's going to go over really well. So your audience can help us out with our social media campaign by sharing what we put out, whether it be the enforcement pieces or whether it be the educational pieces. It's all going to go a long way. The more people see it, maybe there'll be a little bit more of a buy-in. And so we really appreciate everything you guys have done, and I'm sure will continue to do with us. The other exciting news tomorrow is that we do have the prize draw that we had mentioned on the ATV submissions of the chest protector and helmet from Avalon Trailways. And we've ended up with a lot of other items that we're going to give away for prizes as well, but I won't spoil that information. We'll leave that for tomorrow.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So one of the things that's going to happen tomorrow, I'm going to set up my camera system there. So I'm going to try to broadcast the event live and put it on our site here. Hopefully I can get a good connection, and if not, I'll just record it and I'll post it a little later. But we'll make sure that the message gets to all our members here one way or another. So
Jolene, is this going to be on, you said the media is going to be there. Is this going to be on CBC or NTV?
We have representatives from both CBC and NTV, so I do expect they'll have a coverage on their evening news segment. We also have a reporter from the Telegram and somebody from BOCM. They're all confirmed as coming tomorrow.
Wonderful.
And we'll have a number of partners. Like I said, Elwyn will be there. We'll have
Yep.
somebody from Avalon Trailways, Avalon ATV, Safety NL, Newfoundland Labrador Liquor Corporation, and Newfoundland Labrador Brain Injury Association. So there'll be a lot of
Perfect.
partners there to talk about the different aspects of why we're trying to promote ATV safety in the province.
So, I got to compliment you guys on doing this because, and Patrick is going to tell us some stories, I guess, in a little bit here about, traveling the trails and some of the things that, he saw and that probably could do better if the message got out there right in the first place. We had a show last week on the ethic on the trails, and it's all part of this. So, safety is one thing, being ethical on another end of it is something else too. So it all plays together, right? So
it all ties together, yeah. It all ties together for a more enjoyable ride.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
So that's awesome. I really appreciate Jolene. I know you're really busy because you've been working at setting this up and that kind of stuff, and tomorrow's going to be a busy day for you as well. So
Sure.
I'm glad you come on and explain some things to us, and you're free to stay. It's up to you, or you can go about your business there and carry on what you're doing, getting ready. But it's up to you what you like to do. So.
Okay,
Cool.
well, I
Sure,
really
there might be a
appreciate
question or two yet.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sure there might be a question or two yet directed to you, if even if you're not aired, we can get the answer later, if that be the case.
Okay, it's up to you guys. If you need me to stick on, I will. I have the little
Sure.
one that's up with mom there now that I gotta go grab to get ready for bed when I can. But I mean, I'm available if you need
Yeah.
me for
Awesome.
anything.
Yeah, you can.
See that you're air, and you're female. Okay, not being sexist, but see that you're female. We do have a female contest on the go. Just want to let you know that you can go ahead and put your little comment on the bottom while you enjoy riding, and your name will go in for a draw for this Kia, Central Kia jacket as well. I just want to put that plug up there.
Appreciate that.
Perfect.
So
Right
that's
on.
tonight or next show. Elwyn, did we come to a consensus on that?
Yeah, we're going to draw for this jacket tonight.
Okay.
And I got all the names in a wheel that I'll put up in a little bit here. And hopefully we'll have a winner who deserves it, really. So while we're still on that little subject, before we jump into talking to Patrick here, I want to talk about our upcoming shows here. So on June the 9th, I invited some organizations outside of Newfoundland, the New Brunswick and the Nova Scotia chapters of the ATV organizations. And so Jacques Portier and Barry Burnett will be on June the 9th. And they're going to let us know and talk about how they're set up in their provinces. And there's lots of learnings from that. June the 23rd, we're going to have someone come on that's going to tell us about some of the adventures. And Wayne Wellman is going to be one of those guys. And I'm trying to probe for another person to come on with them. So that's June the 23rd. And we're going to talk about some adventures that he's done or he's going to do, like his plans for this summer. And I know we're talking about July already, but in July we're going to move a little bit into the motorcycle adventures. So the ATV world, the trails, is all the backcountry, and we have, like, this is called Ride the Rock. So riding probably is part of motorcycle, horseback, and ATVs. And so we're going to do something on the front side of it, where people are going on motorcycles, and that's another avenue we'd like to get into as we travel down this Ride the Rock show. So hopefully that's going to be a couple of interesting shows that's coming up, and it might even be one or two shows with the folks from the organizations in New Brunswick and Nova Scotia. So, like I said, like Patrick is from Nova Scotia, so he probably knows those guys, and we're going to have some conversation about what did they do, how they service all the different clubs and that kind of stuff. So, and both of them, I talked to both of them, and they're excited about coming on our show here. So we got lots of good information to spread to all the members of this Ride to Rock here. So, Patrick, how's it going? Oh, you're muted, are you, or what? Or am I muted?
No,
Nope, sorry about that. I guess I was muted.
Yeah.
That's good.
Should be back on now.
Okay, so my first question to you, Patrick, is when did you start coming to Newfoundland to start riding the trailways?
2003. It was the very first time I went over. I didn't even have an ATV back then. My father-in-law and brother-in-law at the time were planning a trip. Actually, they were my father-in-law and brother-in-law to be, because I had just met my wife at the time. I hadn't known her very long, and they were telling me about this great trip they had planned in Newfoundland on ATVs, and were telling me all about it and asked me if I wanted to go. My father-in-law had an extra machine, so I went with them. And that's how it started. It was a fantastic trip. All I could do was talk about it for a couple summers until I bought my own ATV to go back again.
You got hooked, didn't you?
Did I ever? Did I ever? Yeah.
Yes.
And it's funny. I know a lot of people that have done the trip, and people message me all the time through my Facebook page and my website and stuff. And I tell people you can't ever do this trip just once. Most people that I know that have done this trip have gone back numerous occasions.
So is that how it started, where you end up bringing other people with you, or was that a conscious decision, or just something just happened to happen?
I went again with my brother-in-law several years later, and then I had started my blog, my website, and I was supposed to go with a few other fellas who ended up having to cancel at the last minute. So I put a message out on my page saying, hey, I'd like to go on this trip in September if anybody's going on the trip, if they're free. And I get a couple of messages from a couple of groups of different guys that were going that said, feel free to come with us. And I ended up going with one of the groups, and then several guys in that group I went with almost every year again since.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah, so it turned out to be, we had a great time on the trip and made some good friendships out of it too.
So there's several guys that, what are they? The guys that continuously come with you, or is it different guys all the time, or
mostly the same fellas? There's usually every year one or two new guys that come along, like friends or relatives of the other guys that have come along on the trip. They listen to these guys tell them stories of the trip, or they see their pictures and videos, and they kind of get excited and want to come too. So then we bring other people along with us. And unfortunately, we have to cut our limit off. We usually have around 12 people with the group, just because it's for logistics to be able to plan and bring that many people and look after everybody on the trip, that type of stuff. We usually cut it off around there, but I've seen some other groups go over even larger than that.
So Patrick, with groups like that, like 8, 10, 12, what kind of safety procedures, if any, that you follow? And
we always have helmets, no matter if we're driving ATVs or side-by-sides, and we always have our headlights on. And even if it's easy to forget sometimes, so if one of the guys we notice don't have their headlights on, next time we have a stop for a break, we'll just remind somebody to make sure their lights are on. And if we, especially lately, the last few years, we've had 10, 12 guys. What we do is, whoever's riding in the group, the person behind them, you're responsible for that person behind you. So everyone has mirrors, or if they don't, like on an ATV, sometimes, we just gradually check over your shoulder now and then. And if we don't see the person behind us, we slow up. And if we don't see them, like if they don't start to catch up, we'll stop. And then the person ahead doesn't see the person behind them, and they stop, and so on. And then usually when that happens, somebody's got a flat tire, or something like that, right? Or had to pee really bad or whatever, and it's nothing. And then we wait a few minutes, and everybody gathers up together in a group, and then we go on again down the trail.
That's awesome there.
It is. It is.
So Jeffrey, you must have programmed all those questions in, did you, or what?
Yeah, well, I did, but they seem to go double up on me for some reason.
Uh,
I went run down, or else I'd forget them.
it's good to be prepared, and then we're over
We're
prepared.
prepared too.
Over
So, Patrick, what's the longest ride that you've been on the island? Let's say, like how many days or kilometers, or you keep track?
I think 10 days and about 12 or 1,300 kilometers of riding.
Okay.
And that's not 10 days straight of riding. On a 10-day trip, we usually have 7 or 8 days of riding, and then we'll have a couple of down days. Like we'll ride a couple of long days, like maybe 200 kilometers, and then the next day we'll just, whatever area we're in, we'll just stay there for an extra day and enjoy the scenery of whatever is in that area, just to kind of have a rest day.
So do you do tenting, or do you do hotels or chalets, or
Depends on the year. We've done some years where it's just hotels and cabins, or like lodges, that type of thing. And then we have a mix. Last year we did a trip in July where we did a mix. So many nights camping on the trail, and then so many nights in motels and cabins.
Okay. So if you had to recommend one place on the island, I know it's going to be hard. But if you had to recommend one spot on the island to travel for a first timer, okay, and he wants to get the biggest bang for his buck on the first time, that he'd make sure he's going to come back again next year, where would that be?
It depends. I think if you're camping, I would say Serpentine Lake.
Okay, yeah.
And the night there camping is just unreal.
It is beautiful.
And if you're not camping, if you're riding the rail bed across, I would say you got to go see the Gaff Topsail. You can't go to Newfoundland and do that ATV trip without going to the Gaff Topsail and bringing along a little gas barbecue or something with you and stopping up there and having a little cook up or something like that. It's a beautiful spot. All those flatlands around with all the rocks, 360 degrees view. It's just fantastic up there.
It is.
And it's relatively easy to get to from the railbed, right? It's only about a kilometer trail. That's pretty easy riding, and you can't miss that spot.
So when you do come to the island with guys, do you enjoy, like, let's say if you're here for 5 or 6 days or 10 days, do you like to have sometimes included in that trip some more difficult terrain to ride on, or you just like to have just the trail riding and that's it?
We like a mix for sure.
Yeah.
The first few times I did the trip, we're on the rail bed the entire time, and we still had a great time. But then after we got really comfortable doing it a few times, we got a little more comfortable exploring and taking side trails here and there. And then we found the Lomans sinkhole, and we found Little Codroy Pond, and we found Sugarloaf Mountains and things like that, right? And those are all have a little more adventurous trails to get to, and it's fun. It's a nice break from the rail bed after a little bit.
Here we go. Here's Corp when he was on the Gaff yesterday, was it? He's one of our
Gaff already.
He was on the Gaff yesterday. Apparently.
So the snow must be gone then.
Yes. And I'll second that Serpentine, that lake. That's a beautiful spot. Anybody wants to stay for a night down there, especially in tent, it is gorgeous down there.
Oh yeah, I took a few guys in there last year actually that were new to the trip for the first time, and they all want to go back, and they all want to go back to Serpentine Lake.
Yes.
They said that was one of their highlights.
Pretty nice as well.
Pardon?
I say Cloudy Pond is pretty nice as well, especially with that lodge.
Absolutely. Cloudy Pond Outfitters have a really nice lodge in there, and we spent 2 nights in there last year.
Okay.
We came all the way back from Hawke's Bay to Cloudy Pond, which was almost 300 kilometers, which is a long way by side by sides. So we still get in before dark. We spent an extra day there the next day.
You said the word Hawke's Bay, so you enjoy
that? When you mentioned about which place was nicest, I was going to say, see, Jeffrey, he never said Hawke's Bay. He didn't have to go back 3 times.
If I was from Mexico, he would have said Hawke's Bay. Trust me.
Well, the only problem with Hawke's Bay is for a lot of people, it's a long ways to get there, especially the first timer. From Deer Lake to Hawke's Bay is about 250 kilometers. So that might be out of some people's reach, like for a beginner. But otherwise, if you're up for the adventure, it's a beautiful run up there, especially that new pole line with all the hills and the wide road. It's in really good shape. It's a beautiful trip.
Yeah, it comes to Russell's Falls there. That's just beautiful, outstanding waterfalls.
Yeah, it is very beautiful. I sent the drone up there last year, get some nice footage of that. It was a great spot.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, and just for our viewer information, yeah, again, I know you mentioned it earlier, but you have the website Crossing Newfoundland by ATV. So
That's right.
A person can go on there and they can see pretty much all your trips, I would imagine.
Yeah, that's right.
And you put together, you got like little series put together of different trips you've done across the island. And
that's right. Every year since about 2015, after I get back, I do a series of videos. There's usually about 7. And what I'll do is I'll have a video for each day. So if there's one day, if we do a trip from Argentia to Clarenville, there's a 10 or 15 minute video that shows what we did that day. And then the next day from Clarenville to Gander to Badger, that type of thing. And so people can go in and see exactly what we saw, where we stayed. And I usually at the beginning of the videos show the maps of the island and show where we're starting, how far we're going. So people can get an idea if they're planning the trip on their own, which part of the island they might want to go see, or, the most if they have a limited amount of time.
Yes, yeah. Mention Knox Bay again. That's one of my favorite places on the island to go.
Yeah, you keep going back there.
Didn't you meet this crazy newfie up there last year? I believe it was. And
I did. We were on our way up to Hogs Bay, and we ran into this fella, and we ended up seeing a video of him later falling out of his side by side as he was. When he had a drone trying to take a video of himself on the trail. And,
it was one of those what not to do, right?
What's what not to do?
Side by side, never drove before, so this is what not to do. Beginners do. That's kind of like stupid.
Luckily he was not hurt at all, and lived to tell the tale.
Yeah. I use it as a training video now for safety.
Training, there you go, exactly.
It goes showing there ain't no seatbelt on either, right?
Yeah, I unclipped them. Shh, there's a police officer on the site.
Yeah, well, that's what she's on, trying to promote safety, and you're going against it.
So, Patrick, when is your next trip?
I have one planned for September of this year.
Wonderful.
Yeah, for
Some
10
of you
days.
guys got coming that trip?
This year, so far, 13. And this will be the biggest trip ever if everyone makes it. 1 or 2 of the guys are coming from outside of the Atlantic area. So if there's no bubble open by then, unfortunately, 1 or 2 guys might not be able to make it. So we'll still have we'll still have a big group though. We'll probably have, we'll still have at least 11 guys.
Well, I'm going to have to try to get out with the camera and kind of meet up with you and probably do some interviews.
Absolutely. You just, I'll let you know in advance when we're going across. We usually post everything on Facebook every day, our adventures and pictures of recaps, so you'll know where we're going to be. And it would be great to meet up with you guys on the trail again.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, well, hopefully we can do it live from the site when if we meet them, because I just installed a cell phone booster in my side-by-side with the big pole antenna. So hopefully I'll get service.
Yeah.
Well, someone else must have done that for you.
No, actually not myself. Can you imagine?
Well,
and he's not upside down.
Maybe that's what I need tomorrow out there at the Holyrood. So
yes.
We'll see
grab my side by side.
There you go. Yeah, for sure. Jeffrey, I'm going to stop for a second here now, and I'm going to share the wheel, and see if we can do that draw here. Let me get a full. Let's see if I can get full screen out of this. Full screen. Okay, so there was 8 entries, and I'm going to give her a spin.
Here we go. There we go. I think we got a winner.
There you go.
There's Elliot. Congratulations.
So, Bev, get in touch with us. I'll stick our email address up here in 1 second. One of those email addresses. And let us know where you're at. Give us the your address, and we will send you that
Oh, sorry.
this jacket here, right here. So you're the winner. Cool. I wanted to get that out of the way here before we got too far. So right on.
Jolene is gone there now.
Yeah, she popped out there. I didn't expect her to stay too long anyway because you know,
Yeah,
she
I say
got
she's quite busy now.
oh, you're not kidding. Yeah, she got
Yeah.
lots of
Yeah,
stuff on
for
the
sure.
go there. So
For
yeah,
sure.
or no,
Oh, she's coming back again.
maybe she tried to enter in on the wheel while it was going.
Yeah, that's what she's done. Yeah, guaranteed.
Uh,
Right on.
so Patrick, I got a question on cameras. What do
Yes.
you use for cameras now when you're out and about?
I have a couple of GoPro cameras, and I have one usually attached to my helmet, and one somewhere on the side by side. And then I also, when I'm out on foot doing different things, usually just have my cell phone with me, and it takes actually really good video.
Okay, that's good. That and then another question I have, because I'm kind of same with Jeffrey. He's a bit of a techie on this kind of stuff. What program do you use to do your editing on?
I use a program called Camtasia Studio.
Oh,
It's a pretty straightforward, easy to use one, and I like it because I do a lot of voiceover. If you've seen any of my videos, I do a lot of voiceover, and I record the screen a lot when I'm showing maps and stuff. And it's really, really easy to record the screen with that program and then integrate it into my videos later.
Right on.
that is great. Yeah, for sure. We'll have to. I'll have to check that out.
I'm going to jump in for a second.
Yep.
Patrick, the moose. Do he have a name?
Actually, yes, he does. It's not very creative. One of the guys on the first year I brought him called him Moosey, and it just kind of stuck after that. And everybody used to check in on him now and then, especially if it was raining, he'd get all soggy and hanging off the front.
So I'm not sure if everybody knows who Moosey is and the significance of Moosey, but tell us a little bit about Moosey.
I first got him in 2013 on the Argentia ferry going over. I just happened to be in the gift shop about 10 minutes before we got off the boat, and I happened to see him sitting on the shelf and looked at it. I thought it was cute, picked it up, started laughing. And when I brought him along, one of the guys saw him. One of the guys suggested, he said, you should zip tie him to the front of the machine. And so that's what I did, and he's been along for all the rides now for, I don't know, about 10 or 12,000 kilometers of dusty ATV trails.
There you go. Zip-tied moose.
Yeah.
So the machine that you have, Patrick, is what?
Mm-hmm.
What do you ride?
Right now I have a Can-Am Commander side by side.
And how many kilometers you put on a year normally?
A year? It varies, but probably 2,000 or 3,000 at least. I've got that one I bought new in 2016, and it's got about 12,500 kilometers on it right now.
Okay.
On the safety aspect, do you have a buggy whip or anything like that with a flag on it, or?
Actually, no, I don't. We do sometimes put flags in our machines when we're going across the island, but not a big tall whip. But we usually have our lights on when we're driving, and I find they come in handy. They cut through the dust, especially when you're looking in your rearview mirror to see if the guys are still behind you, because sometimes you guys know the trail dust on the trailway there can get pretty bad. Yeah. And some areas where the alders are bad, you can see headlights through those in some spots, especially the LED lights. If guys have those overhead LED lights on, sometimes you'll actually see them shining through the alders, especially on corners where it's hard to see. You know, we have to slow down on those quite a bit anyways, just because you never know if someone's coming the other way. So, but if you get a bright set of lights coming the other way, sometimes we'll see them in advance coming through, which helps a lot.
Yeah, you'll see the lights long before you see a buggy whip flag for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially if it's like dusk or dawn or anything like that, and it's not that bright. The lights, you really tell someone's coming a long way off.
Yeah.
Lights are so important that even if we're riding, say, with only one or two couples, I still want the lights on, because I mean you can look back and see them at all times.
Absolutely.
I'm surprised that ATV manufacturers don't have running lights like a vehicle on the highway would, because then your lights are on continually. It'd certainly be safer, much safer.
Absolutely, I agree. I wish more guys would turn their headlights on. You see more and more of it. I find anyway now these days I see more and more people driving with their headlights on, but you still see some people without them, and it's
I find a lot of people. Yeah, I find a lot of people like they don't realize how much safer it is. Just you just flick the light on, right? It's not that they don't want to turn the light on. I don't think the education has been there to put it out there and say, listen, you put your lights on, we can see you coming, type deal, right? And you could avoid an accident or any kind of incident. So what do you think on that, Jolene? As your comments on headlights?
Yeah, definitely a good piece of equipment to be using, and for all the reasons you guys have already talked about. It's and I agree, it's probably not like you said, Jeffrey, because people don't want to do it. They probably just didn't realize that they should do it and that it would be helpful to have them on. So yeah, that's definitely one of those things that likewise with snowmobiles, the same thing with the snowmobiles. They have the lights on all the time. Generally speaking, they're running all the time, which is great. When you're looking back or you're using your mirrors, like you said, check to make sure your buddy is still there and he's okay. So same thing.
Even when you're coming up, sorry, go ahead.
The problem with ATVs, most brands that I know anyway, I know mine, is if you stop on the trail, and you stop a dozen times for pictures or whatever, when you start the engine again, the headlights are not on. You got to turn them on every time you start up the engine. So
I don't think that's the case now, though, with newer machines.
Okay.
Because the newer machines actually got the high, low, and off.
Okay.
Right, and if it's in the low position or the high position, when you start, they'll come on in that position.
Jeffrey, those beacon lights that we got on our bikes, that's good for on dusty roads too, because people can see your lights, right?
Yeah, Carol and myself, we installed the work hazard lights, the beacons, the flashers.
Oh yes.
And if like for example, if we're driving through Cornerbrook on the designated trail, that we'll have those flashers on, so that we're even a little bit more noticeable, because you got your it's like a construction worker lights blinking all the time type deal, right? And they flash in different intervals, and you can set them up for different intervals and stuff like that. So, and if it's that you got them on the trails in the dust or whatever, and you're visible. Making yourself a little more visible than normal is what we do there. Yeah.
Even when you're coming up on somebody, if they're not really paying attention in their mirrors and they're not part of your group, they can see if your headlights are on as well. So
yes, that's right.
Exactly. Yeah.
And as Patrick, has that happened to you? Where you come up on somebody that's going really slow, and you got to chase them for a while?
Absolutely, that's happened a few times. And with our group, like I said, some days we'll go a long way, 140 to 200 kilometers. So we like to stop a lot, but then when we're going, we'll go along at a good clip. Our average speed is probably anywhere from 35 to 45 on the long straight stretches that we're going, to try to make up time to get where we're going. And every now and then you'll run across somebody that's kind of out for a Sunday drive, and they're not really paying attention, and they're doing 15 kilometers an hour. And if they don't have any mirrors even to see you back there, a lot of ATVs don't come with horns, so you're stuck behind someone hoping they'll finally notice to let you guys go by, right? And that's happened a few times. But there was a guy one time who did see us coming, because I was able to flick on my roof light. My LED roof light is really bright. It's like a 36-inch light bar. And it lit up to the inside of his cab, I think, from where I was, even though it was daylight a bit. And he kind of looked over his shoulder and realized we were there. And, to his credit, as soon as he saw us, as soon as he knew we were there, he pulled over and let us go by him, right, and waved as we were going by.
And last week we found out that there's a lot of people who are hiking now. They're hiking right across Newfoundland, and then there's those fat bikes that are on the trailways, and so everybody's got to pay attention to who's around them, right? And and be courteous to the folks that are coming, but definitely having headlights and or flashers or something, or a horn even, It
Yeah.
certainly helps out. I don't have a horn on neither one of my side-by-sides.
Yeah, I installed one. Some of the new ones come with them. I know CF Moto come with turn signals and horns and four-way flashers, which I think is great. I wish all manufacturers put them on there. You never know when they'll come in handy.
Jeffrey, that could be something we have to invest in. Some horns go on our bikes.
Actually, I was looking at it today, at the horns, and I was looking at the signal flashers.
Yeah, but I can get one over the shop that they put on the boats, right?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. For when you're at a stop sign on the boat, is it? For when you're at a stop sign, let people know which way you're going.
Yes, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
See what Jeffrey can do when he looks out to see where the drone is. He can shout out, and someone can hear him.
Yes,
oh, not a worry. Not a worry.
That's awesome.
Yeah, all good stuff.
Yeah,
all good stuff. So, yeah. Anyway. Now we did so now we're all good solid now.
No.
I
was gonna ask Patrick about some advice that he would give a young rider, like someone this is their first time riding a quad or a side-by-side, or they're off age and that, but they're out on the trails. What kind of advice would you pass on to those new riders or younger riders?
That's a good question. Being safe, you can't go wrong, right? So don't drive beyond your abilities. I know, especially young fellas, they get out and they might see somebody that's very experienced going out and doing things on machines that they want to go out and try. But if they've never tried it before and they're not familiar with handling a big, heavy ATV, I mean, ATVs now can weigh up to 1,000 pounds, and they're pretty easy to roll over. You don't want to be doing that. So just take your time, get a feel for the machine. Go with buddies. You never know when you might break down or get stuck or something like that. It's always good to go with other people in case you need help. You can help each other out, and just keep safety in mind from from a parenting aspect. I don't have any kids, but I mean, I'd like to tell them something I think that their parents might tell them.
Yes.
Yeah, and let people know where you're going, and have some kind of a communication device is probably important to have as well, right?
Oh yeah, cell phone. We always bring cell phones.
Yeah.
And if you're out of range, we have Bluetooth headsets on our helmets so we can talk to each other while we're in groups anyways. It's good conversation for long days, but it's also good to warn other guys if an animal runs out on the trail or there's a washout that you come up quick. It's nice to have those Bluetooth headsets where we can warn each other, the guys in the back, to watch out for something in the next corner, that type of thing.
So what kind of distance are you getting out of those Bluetooth headsets?
It really varies. They're meant for motorcycles, so out on the highway, that kind of thing. But if you're on a straightaway and there's not many turns, you'll get several hundred meters out of them.
Okay.
Yeah, and then if you're in an area where it's a tight woods trail and you happen to be around tight corners, you might only get a few hundred feet, and they'll start to get a little crackly.
Yeah.
And back to Jolene, what kind of advice would you give to younger riders or new riders?
Well, as a parent, I would tell them that they should drive as if their parents were watching them, really. Don't drive any different than you would when mom and dad are around. That would be my best advice. I mean, younger people may want to be a little bit more adventurous or take a little bit more risks, but they really do need to think about the consequences of those risks, especially if you're in the backcountry somewhere. People need to be aware that medical attention is not readily available the further in the backcountry you are. So, taking risks like that, you may be without help for a considerable amount of time. So, always be careful. As Patrick mentioned, have other people with you. You could have mechanical issues. You could have anything that come up. You could get lost, misplaced. Have the communication devices. Have the provisions packed with you in case you do become displaced, stranded, lost, whatnot. Make sure you have some snacks and stuff. Always tell people where you're going. Have a planned route. Have somebody who is waiting for you in case you don't show up.
The problem I got with snacks, Jolene, is that usually the first half hour is all gone.
Oh.
I had a little bit of advice for Patrick with Mr. Lucy there. I just thought, I'd mentioned that if Patrick is coming down with Mr. Moosey, just make sure you got him tagged, right? You have to have his tag.
Yeah.
There you go. You've been warned.
Oh, that's funny. I will put a tag on him this year. Take a picture of him in the Facebook group.
So before we wrap up here, I'm going to run our sponsors through and give us some second or two for some last minute questions or comments. So let me run this here, and then we'll come right back. There you go.
Yeah, yes.
We're back again. Everett, you might want to mention something about the Wish Foundation. If
Yes.
give you a few minutes to that.
Absolutely.
Well, every year we, for the past, we've been involved 20 years now with the Children's Wish Foundation, which is now amalgamated with Make-A-Wish Canada. So next year we'll be totally under the Make-A-Wish banner. But for the past 12 years, we've been doing the ATV ride for wishes and raising a lot of money, actually. It's growing. Unfortunately, last year we had to do it virtually, but we still did well, even though we only had four bikes last year. And everybody did their own thing. So we still managed to grant a wish. You know, we've been involved with that, like I said, for 20 years, Children's Wish. So this year we're doing a virtual ride again. We have a lot more interest, and we have, I think, now 8 or 10 bikes already this year. So that's good, and hopefully we can grant another wish this year. This is our 12th year now doing the ride for wishes. So,
And where did the Wish go last year?
Pardon?
Where did the Wish go last year? Who was it for?
Wish, we've done 16 wishes.
Oh,
Yeah, myself and
wow.
my wife. We've granted 16 wishes in our area, Green Bay, Baybird. And last year, little girl Kings Point, her wish was to get a bedroom makeover. So we granted her wish, and so we've done 16 wishes, and people have been really good to us. Support has been great, and it feels awful good when you can go to a family and grant a wish for a child. So we've enjoyed doing it, and like I said, we've been doing this for 20 years, so it's we enjoy it.
That's just awesome. Actually, it's incredible that just a bunch of guys can get together and solicit some money from our neighbors and our friends and pass it on to the Wish and give it to some person that really deserves it, that can't afford it, and I think it's commendable, actually. So
the average wish is $10,000. That's the average, and we've done them as high as 15,000. So it depends on what the child asked for. But anyway, overall, we've granted 16 wishes now, so we enjoy it. Yeah,
that is awesome.
And Jeffrey and Carl, they'd be big supporters of us. They ride with us too, and we got lots of people who always like to help us out.
That's perfect. Yeah. So that is awesome. We, Patrick and Jolene, we usually run about an hour on these talk shows here. So, and we're getting pretty close to that end now. So, some last thoughts and a few more questions. I don't see anything coming in the chat here in the comments section, but give us just some last minute conversations, and then Jolene, I'll see you tomorrow for sure. So, Jolene, we'll let you go first.
Yeah, sure. Final thoughts for me is just, again, I want to thank you, your group. I want to thank your audience for, like what I'm sure we've had all those submissions of photos. It was greatly appreciated. And, encouraging people to tune in tomorrow. Hopefully it will run live and work out for you with what you're trying to accomplish by attending and trying to put that off live tomorrow. And certainly if it doesn't come off live, you're going to air it after, so it would be interesting, I'm sure, for people to have a listen and see, what we're trying to accomplish, the partners that are going to be there, how the enforcement is going to play out. We're also going to talk some statistics, a little bit about what enforcement stats we've had since the campaign, where we're heading, talk about the fatalities from last year versus this year to see, how we're doing with that. We're certainly hoping to decrease those statistics. So be interesting, I think, people for them to stay tuned as well. Let's not forget about that live draw we're going to do, a couple of great prizes to offer there. So again, just want to thank you guys for partnering in with us, inviting me to the show tonight, and having this discussion.
Well, this is not your last time here, I can tell you that. So, one of the things that we strive to do here is support your community, the members, and help out where we can. And so we'll continuously do that for sure. And you're at our beck and call. So anytime you want to come on and say, "Hey, I got a message to tell your organization," just let me know or Jeffrey know, and we'll have you on. So
yes, for sure.
I really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
You're more than welcome. Yeah, thank you. Actually, it goes back your way. So thank you, Patrick.
Patrick, I got a question for you before you do your last minute.
All right.
And I'm going to put it up here. Lately we've been getting a lot of accessibility questions about the area on Ireland. So, in your opinion, if we had more areas open up for ATV accessibility, you think we'd get more adventurers or tourists in our province?
Absolutely. Even the rail bed that you guys have, the trailway, is fantastic. Linking all the different communities in your province together that alone is wonderful. And then you started getting towns and cities like Corner Brook and Deer Lake, Pasadena, Stephenville Crossing, I think, areas, they allow people to drive ATVs legally on the roads now, and I think other people are looking at doing it. I know from firsthand experience, I've had people tell me that they wanted to go do that trip just because of that. They wanted to go over there and ride all that, and they also wanted to be able to drive through a city street legally. And they wanted to go see what that was like. So, but I mean, you've got other areas now too. If you could make trails into different places, there are some great places there now. Like when you're driving across the rail bed, you'll see signs for Airbnbs or gas stations or whatever that are very close to the trail. But there's so much beauty and untapped resources and beautiful lakes and things that people want to see, and different areas that they could drive in off the rail bed. It would be great to get to one part of an area of the province through the rail bed, and then continue off to a community like farther up, like Lewisport or something like that, even up to these other areas, and you'd have more people going. I think absolutely, they'd probably even go for longer trips, and you'd have people returning more because you wouldn't be able to do it all in one trip. You'll have to go back multiple times. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So I'll reflect back to Jolene again now. So what are some of the stipulations that people need to know in order to ride their ATV or UTV on a designated trailway in a town or in a city?
Well, that's an interesting piece because, it is fairly new to the province, and it's only limited to certain areas. It's certainly not province-wide at this point. Things they need to be considerate of, more especially, age of operation. So, even if a 16-year-old can operate an ATV, I wouldn't think that a 16-year-old should be or is permitted to be on the roadway. So in those areas, you would be required to have a license, a valid driver's license, to know
Yes,
the
yeah.
rules of the road, to know the traffic lights, to know the traffic signs, the right of ways, all those sorts of things. Your registration for your ATV and your insurance policy as well. Now, having insurance, this is one thing that I've been questioning, because the general insurance policy that a person would get for an ATV or a snowmobile is a small insurance policy, even if you have full coverage. So you're probably looking at somewhere around $300 to $500 for the year for an annual policy for your bike, for full compensation and that. But I'm not sure how that would play out if you got involved in a crash on a city street. I don't know. I don't have the answer. I'd like to know if somebody knows the answer to that. Or, because you're driving a motorized vehicle, your insurance policy is going to be much higher than that in this province. You're looking at paying an annual premium of, anywhere from 1,500 to 2,000, maybe more a year to have motor vehicle insurance. So I'm wondering how that would fare out. It's a question that I don't know if anybody here would have the answer to, but having insurance policy on your ATV and is one thing, but will it cover you if you're on a city road where you're allowed to be and get yourself into a crash?
That's a great question. I haven't asked my own insurance company that, but I know someone who asked their insurance company that exact question. They were told that as long as it's a legal route, like if it's if a municipality approved that section for ATV use, then they would be covered, as long as they are following the rules that are stipulated. Like in Corner Brook, you have to be going 40 kilometers an hour, and you have to have Jolene mentioned, a license plate and a valid license, yes, and insurance, of course.
Because I'm just wondering, like, if you have an insurance policy that's costing you like $300 to $500 for the year, it's on the off chance that you'd have a collision out in the backcountry with maybe another ATV, which the damage would be a lot less than if you had, a collision with a motor vehicle on a highway or a designated roadway. I've just wondered if I would caution, I guess, people to check with their insurance companies if they're using those designated roadways with the requirements. Just check it out with your insurance to make sure that if a collision happens there, are you going to be covered, or do you need to increase your policy?
Yes, considering some of these side-by-sides, value of these bikes sometimes is in the 30s, 30,000 plus, right? And that's a good point.
That's a good topic, and I think you both hit it right on the nail there. That if you're on a designated trailway or roadway, you best have insurance, best be eligible to ride, and maybe your insurance will cover you. But still, we're not 100% sure. But I think you guys are hit that on the nail there. So
definitely talk to your insurance company.
That's an idea for another guest for another show. Bring somebody from an insurance company on.
And Jolene, you just seen that compliment that just came up there for you. Thanking you for all your help and your participation.
Wonderful. So, and I think the statistic would be right. The same would be said for ATV riders. We totally recognize that there's a small percentage out there that aren't following the rules of the road, that aren't wearing the gear, that aren't driving sober. And the vast majority out there do the opposite, like yourselves, promote safety, wear the gear, and drive while sober. So, we appreciate everything everybody's doing that way, and we're determined to try to do what we can to change the driving behaviors of those that don't.
Awesome.
Alvin, excuse me, I shared a release today from the RCMP on the West Coast, and to you and Jeffrey about 2 or 3 examples they had here today. It was just frightening. One lady had kids in the pan of the side by side, no helmets, no seatbelts, driving on the street, no insurance. I mean, it was just a list of breaking the law, and I shared that actually to you and Jeffrey today.
You did, yep.
There's lots out there, I guess. That's like Jolene said, is not being safe.
Yeah. Well, this has been a great evening. Really appreciate you guys taking your time to join us, and we're definitely going to have you back again. Patrick, when you show up, send your schedule, and we'll try to meet up with you somewhere along the way,
Yes.
and
Absolutely. It'd be a pleasure.
do some interviews or whatever. If we can get all the technology straight, we'll do something. So,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, perfect. Well, folks, appreciate it. Thank you so very much. And we'll see you on the next one.
Okay.
Right on.
Right.